everybody, and guess who's back? I am coming to you live again from the Echo Distance Learning Studio. My name is Anna, and I'm so happy to be with you guys all joining us on our various live platforms. I can see some friends starting to join in on our Facebook Live, our YouTube Live, and even right here inside our Zoom meeting, which is where we're streaming from. I've missed you all. I'm so glad to be back with another really cool, really fun Echo Live program. Now, if you haven't done so already, go ahead, introduce yourself in the chat as always. Perhaps we have some new friends joining in. Maybe we have some familiar faces who normally join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays for our 2:30 p.m. Echo Live program. Hi, Evan from Texas. Thanks so much for introducing yourself in the chat. Of course, you can tell me in the chat who you are, where you're watching from, maybe even what grade you are in. That'll help me to think about future programs and things that we might like to talk about here on our live shows. Now, I've missed you all. I'm so glad to be back, but I hope you've enjoyed the last few weeks getting to meet some of our guest presenters. People like Jasmine, who did an amazing episode on the A or the art in STEAM, and even MySci president and CEO, Christian Greer, who came here to present last week on how to use some paper instruments. If you didn't catch those episodes, definitely check them out. They are recorded on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, so you can go back and view them as many times as you'd like so that you can try some of those really cool hands-on at-home science activities as well. Now, you might be wondering, what's up with the funny hat and why am I standing in the rainforest? Now, of course, you know I'm not in the rainforest. I know you all know that this is my green screen behind me. But today we are going to play a game. I'm pretty excited about this game because it's a little different than other episodes of Echo Live that we have facilitated in the past. This one is a highly interactive game, and so I'll need you all to use the comments or the chat feature throughout the program to weigh in on this game. The game we are playing is adapted from the Center for Global Soundscapes and Purdue University, and we are calling this game Soundscape Bingo. So this is adapted from an extended learning activity from a live show that we host here at the Michigan Science Center in our Toyota Engineering Theater, where we have a 4D program all about global soundscapes. Now, when we're talking about soundscapes, it's important to first think about what we mean by a soundscape. When we're talking about soundscapes, we're talking about all the sounds in a given environment. So I have a quick question before we start our game of virtual global soundscapes bingo. I have a question for us all. Let's practice thinking or imagining a soundscape. You can do this very easily if you just go ahead and close your eyes or cover them up. And what I want you to think about is your favorite city. All right, go ahead, imagine your favorite city. And I'm sure the first thing that comes to mind is what that city might look like. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be a city you've visited before. I know that you could see a city on TV or in a movie, or maybe you've learned about one online, but go ahead and imagine that city and think about all the things you see. But now, more importantly, since we're talking about soundscapes, all the sounds that make up an environment, I want you to think about the sounds in that city. Once you have a sound that's made in your favorite city, go ahead and tell that sound to me in the chat. When you imagine that city, your favorite place or your favorite town, tell me, what do you hear when you think about it? I'll tell you a little bit about my favorite city, which of course you might be able to guess is right here in Detroit. So when I picture the soundscape, all the different sounds that make up my favorite city, Detroit, I might think of a few different things. Firstly, I might think of something like the Q line. And this Q line has a bell that rings when it gets to any of its various stops, from here in Midtown, where the Michigan Science Center is located, all the way to downtown Detroit, where some of our sports teams and concert venues are located. So when I picture Detroit, I can definitely hear that ringing of the Q line bell. If you've never visited Detroit, that one might not be familiar to you. But if you have been to downtown Detroit, another of my favorite sounds that make up the soundscape of Detroit is the sound of the drummers beating on buckets outside of the Detroit Tigers games. If you go to a Detroit Tigers game before, during, or even after those games, there are these musicians playing buckets as drums in the street. It's a very distinct sound. If you've never heard it, there are some pretty awesome YouTube videos of these musicians playing outside these Tigers games. I highly recommend coming to see them in person because it is a truly unique, very Detroit experience. So those are some of my favorite sounds that make up the soundscape of my favorite city, Detroit. I don't see anyone chiming in quite yet. Oh, let's see. Lyle in YouTube said they hear music. Awesome. So maybe you live in a city that's known for music. I know there's tons of them here in the United States and in Canada as well. Places like Nashville or Los Angeles are known for creating music. So maybe you hear music when you think of your favorite city or town. But remember that the chat is your way to play this game of virtual soundscapes with me today. So we're going to be playing a bingo game. Again, this is adapted from our Purdue Center for Global Soundscapes learning labs, and we can share links to those activities with you as well after this program. But the object of this game is I am going to be playing you a sound, and then I want you to tell me in the chat what you hear. Oh, I see some awesome answers starting to come in the chat. Let's see. Davida said the sound of slot machines and chips moving in Las Vegas. That's an awesome answer. That's a very unique and distinct sound. I've been to Las Vegas one time, and I can actually, when I picture Vegas, that's one of the sounds that I think of as well. All right, so as we play this game, I'm going to play the sound for you at least 2 times, and then you are going to tell me in the chat what you hear. You're going to tell me, what is this sound? Some of them are kind of easy. Some of them are a little bit more difficult, but I'd love you to use your powers of observation with your ears to tell me what sound you think these are. So I'm going to go ahead and we will start our first round of Soundscape Bingo. So I'm going to play this sound for you 2 times. Once you know what it is, tell me in the chat. This is one of those trickier sounds. I really like this one. It sounds like something very distinct to me, but you might be surprised to find out the answer to this one. Let's go ahead and play that one again. When you think you know what this sound is, go ahead and tell me in the chat. Ooh, all right, some great answers starting to come in. Allison said it could be a firework, and Evan said maybe a chip bag. I definitely think it sounds like a horse chewing on an apple, but you might be surprised to find out that scientists actually recorded this sound at the glaciers, and that is the sound of breaking ice. So kind of a tricky one, maybe a little bit unexpected. Oh, Allison also said walking on sticks. Another great guess. All right, let's try sound number 2. Here we go. Sound number 2. Tell me what you think this one might be in the chat. Perhaps a little bit trickier, maybe a little easier, depending on if you're familiar with this sound. Let's go ahead, play that one again, and when you have a guess, tell me in the chat. I know this is a sound that I've definitely made before. Maybe one that our parents might ask us not to make, especially if we're out in a restaurant, which I know I've done a couple times. Let's see, Levi says boiling water. Ooh, that's a very good guess. Davida says bubbles in a fish tank. And I think we're all on the right track here. That was definitely bubbles. I'm willing to bet that was the sound of someone blowing air through a straw into a container of water. I know that I have been told not to do that out in public. It's not very polite, but it does make a very cool, fun, and interesting sound. All right, let's try another one. That one was a pretty interesting sound, I think. Let's see. Let's play that one again. And when you think you recognize it, tell me in the chat. Now there's something pretty unique about this sound. Let's see, Evan said thunder and lightning. Definitely some sort of outdoors sound, right? So this would definitely be part of an outdoors soundscape. I certainly wouldn't hear this indoors very often. Davida said air releasing from a tire. Hong said a snake. Levi said a flood or a tsunami. These are fantastic guesses, everybody. That was a falling tree. Now, it wasn't very loud, so perhaps it was recorded from a pretty safe distance from this falling tree. But if we listen to that one more time, maybe it will sound a little more familiar now that we've revealed the answer. You can almost hear that kind of crackling noise at first as this tree starts to break, and then kind of the rush of air until it slams into the ground. Good answers, everybody. You are making fantastic soundscape ecologists so far. Let's try sound number 4. That one sounds a little interesting too. There's a few things I think that sounds like, but I'm interested to hear what you think. Let's play sound number 4 again. Perhaps you've heard this before. I'll give you another hint. This one is also something that is caused by nature. When we are working as soundscape ecologists, we call sounds made by nature geophony, when these are sounds made by the earth. And so this is an example of geophony, a sound made by the earth. Sound number 4 is, Allison, you guessed it, it is hail. Obviously, it's hail striking something, right? Hail by itself is just frozen ice balls. But when hail falls from the sky and hits various objects like roofs or windows or the sidewalk or even cars, it makes that very distinct kind of repetitive noise. Let's play that one more time. Also willing to think that that one was a bag of popping popcorn in the microwave. I think that's what I guessed the first time I heard this noise. But you are all way too smart for me. We had some really great guesses. Even Levi specifically said hail hitting a metal roof. That is amazing that you could pick that up with just your ears. All right, let's try sound number 5. Whoa, that was a much louder noise than some of the other ones we've listened to so far. Hopefully it didn't scare anyone too bad, but let's play that one more time. So obviously, heads up, it's a little bit loud, but I think we might all know this sound. Whoa. I think that we all know. Oh, Levi, I hope it's not a bomb. I would never want to record that sound, but it is important for soundscape ecologists to collect sounds from all over the place. So you wouldn't be wrong by saying that. I'm sure out there somewhere is a recording of a bomb going off. But this one was something that's a little bit more common, something that we experience all the time, especially if you live here in Michigan and you've been here in the springtime when we've had some pretty severe thunderstorms that, of course, come with lightning strikes. It's very loud right as that lightning strike rips through the air. It's tearing apart those oxygen molecules, reforming them as O3, creating a massive boom, which we can hear for miles and miles around. All right, let's try sound number 6. Maybe they'll get a little trickier as we go. sound, but a pretty interesting sound. Let's play that one again and tell me, what do you think sound number 6 is? Now we're hearing a lot of those forms of geophony, right? Sounds that are made by our Earth, by either features of nature or our different forms of weather outside. Levi said a waterfall, and Evan said that today in Texas they had a thunderstorm. Wow, that's pretty cool. So maybe you just heard that sound in real life earlier today. David also said a waterfall. That one is in fact a river, which would sound pretty similar to a waterfall as well, right? We can hear that very familiar sound of rushing water as that water moves across the landscape, and we hear those vibrations coming off the stream. Good answers, everybody. All right, let's try sound number 7. Similar to the last one, right? But a little different. Let's listen to that one again. Now, this one sounds like a lot of fun to me. I am willing to bet that number 7 is something that we all like to do if we enjoy swimming outside in the summertime. We also, a lot of people thought rushing water at first on the last one. This one, sound number 7, was in fact a cannonball, just like Levi told us on Facebook. Jumping into a pool, perhaps throwing something large and heavy into the pool, right? Doing a cannonball is one of my favorite summertime activities. Love to swim, love to jump into the water, which creates that pretty cool, very loud splashing noise. Good stuff, everybody. Let's try sound number 8. You guys are doing a fantastic job so far. Let's hear it. Probably the longest recording that we've listened to so far. Maybe sounds pretty similar to some of the other sounds that we've so far heard in our game of Soundscape Bingo. Let's play that one more time and tell me what you think. Yeah, definitely some sort of rolling thunder. Now, where our lightning strike, right, must have been recorded pretty close to the sound of that lightning strike, right? It was much louder, much more abrupt, but this rolling thunder, right, is what we hear as a storm moves across a landscape. So perhaps some of these sounds are further away. Perhaps they are moving towards or away from us, which create that sound which we like to call rolling thunder. I agree that it also sounds like waves. I think that's a pretty similar sound as well. All right, let's play sound number 9. We'll go to 10 sounds and then we'll take a quick break and maybe come back for a few more. So let's hear sound number 9. Tell me what you think this one is. Now, I'm not playing a trick on you. This one is not rushing water, although it might sound very, very similar, right? Now, with our ears, right, sounds, if they have the same properties, such as the same wavelength or the same amplitude, we can get them confused, right? Our hearing is very fine-tuned. It's actually one of our most powerful human senses, but it is okay for our ears to be confused sometimes. I'm going to play this sound again for you, knowing that it is not water flowing through a river. What else do you think this sound might be? see. Davida said it could be the tide. Levi says it could be rain. Ooh, some great answers. Lyle said a volcano or a waterfall, perhaps. That is actually the sound of a waterfall, right? So it's not water flowing through a river. And like we said, they do sound very, very similar. Ooh, good answers. Still lots of good answers starting to come in. I agree, Davida. I thought that one was a recording of wind, if I'm being honest. I thought that one was our wind recording. But let's try one last sound. Let's try sound 10. And then we'll take a break to do a little bit of an activity and make a couple really fun upcoming announcements. All right. Sound number 10, the last one for now. Tell me what you think. That's a pretty soothing sound, I think. Let's play that one again. Tell me what you think sound number 10 is. Whoa, some really awesome guesses starting to come in. Levi, I love the guess. Levi says a stampede. Ooh, I've never thought of that one, but I think that's a really great guess. Let's see who else has weighed in. It could be a train. All right, Lyle said a train. And then Evan tells us that it sounds like crackling fire. And Davida said possibly something frying, which might sound very, very similar as well. That was a sound recorded by Soundscape ecologists of a wildfire. So we can hear those different sorts of wood or organic materials crackling as perhaps the water inside them starts to evaporate, turning into steam, or things start to crack and break down as the fire moves through the forest. So that one was definitely a recording of sound. Let's listen to that one more time, and then we'll pause our game for just a minute. All right, so you all did an amazing job identifying some of those sounds which are part of our global soundscapes. Mostly we talked about geophony, right? Sounds that are made by our planet. But of course, we can observe all sorts of different types of sounds out in nature as well. We can also break sounds into two other main categories. We have what we call biophony. And if we're talking about biophony or biology, perhaps one of my favorite topics, what types of sounds are we talking about? If we're not talking about sounds made by the planet itself, what might we mean by biophony? What kinds of things make sounds that we might call biophony? Think about my background in biology, or if you are a fanatic about biology, just like I am, you might have a great guess over what we mean by that. Evan has chimed in with a fantastic answer, says life, right? So biology is the study of life, anywhere from down to single cells, all the way up to big organisms like human beings, right? We are talking about sounds made by animals or living things on planet Earth. So we have biophony as well. Of course, I can give you a sound or an example of a biophony from our Soundscape bingo. Let's try this one. Tell me what you think this one is. Keeping in mind, this is a sound made by a living creature. What do you think? Probably pretty familiar. This is a sound that people actually go out and listen to as a hobby. Tell me what you think. So if it's a sound made by a living thing, anyone know specifically what kind of living thing makes this animal noise? That's right, Simon. It is, in fact, a bird. So that is a recording of a bird. Now, birds make all sorts of different sounds. And of course, we can also make some bird sounds as well. Now, hunters use bird calls in order to attract birds for hunting, but bird watchers also use bird calls to try to get an up close look at some of these various bird species that are native to where they live. Now, we've taught you how to make one type of bird call or bird sound making device back on our Music Makers episode of Echo Live. If you didn't catch that one, I highly recommend it. We had a really fun, cool jam session with some of our different homemade musical instruments. But I'm going to remind you one time of how to make our chicken cup. Now, it only takes a couple very simple materials to make a chicken cup or a bird call that you might use for chickens. All it takes is a plastic cup, and your plastic cup can be any size, like this size cup right here, perhaps a smaller cup, or even one of those small condiment cups that you might use for ketchup or mustard. Now, what I've done before the program is I've poked a small hole or a slot in the top of my cup using a pair of scissors. Of course, you should get an adult to help you with this step right here. You can either use a knife or the sharp end of a pair of scissors. And all I did was just poke them through the top of the cup, leaving that small little opening so that we can slide through our next material. Now, I also took a paper clip. Any size paper clip works just perfectly for this. And I've tied a length of string to it. Your string will need to be long enough that it can hang from the top of the cup and then throughout the bottom. So just keep that in mind as you are constructing your chicken cup, that your length of string just needs to be at least longer than the plastic cup that you choose. I'm just going to take our paper clip here, see if I can zoom back in. If I take my paper clip, I'm going to start from inside the cup and then just push it out through that slot that I cut using the scissors. The paper clip is just here to hold it in place so that when I pull on the string, it's not going to come through. You could try securing it with a piece of tape instead, but of course that might slip. So this paper clip is really just an easy way to get your string to stay inside the cup, even if you pull on it, which is actually going to be how we create the sound coming through our amplifier or our plastic cup here. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, how in the world are we going to get a plastic cup to sound like a chicken? But it's actually very, very easy. In this cup, I just have a little bit of water. I'm just going to dip my fingers down inside and wet the string. We've talked about on past episodes of Echo Live that sound is just a vibration, and vibrations need a medium to travel through. So even if I were to take a piece of string like this one and wet it down and then pull on it very quickly, you might be able to hear a very, very quiet noise, but maybe too quiet for you to even hear over my speakerphone here, over Facebook Live and Instagram or YouTube Live. But if we want the sound to be louder, perhaps louder so that birds out in nature can hear it, or possibly our parents or siblings, if we just want to drive them a little bit crazy, is we need some sort of amplifier, a larger medium for our sound to travel through. And so that's where the plastic cup comes in handy. Now, when we make that same sound, it is pretty loud. The plastic cup is amplifying the vibrations, working as almost like a sounding board, taking the vibrations from our string, pushing them through the air until it gets to your ears where we can hear it, and hopefully you can hear it over Zoom. Hopefully it's not canceling out this sound too much. It sounds a lot like a chicken. So this is a very easy way to make a bird call, or what we like to call a chicken cup. But if you don't have these materials at home, never fear. There is a way to make a bird call without any hands-on materials whatsoever. We have our Chief Learning Officer, fittingly named Cassie Bird. She is going to show us how to make a bird call with just your two hands. So let's take a look at what Cassie's bird call sounds like, and then she's going to tell us how to make one. Oh, I wish it would let me do it. All right, we might have to go to this and then hopefully it will play. All right, so we've got Cassie here. So no hands-on materials needed. You'll have to tell me, were you able to see that video? Let me double check really quickly here. Should be playing back. Were you able to see Cassie's bird call, or was it just me standing here? It looks like it might have just been me standing here. How disappointing. Let's try that one more time. Nope, weren't able to see it. Let me try that again for you. Dun, dun, dun. Apologies, friends. Let me stop my share. Stop my share. Let's launch it in a different video player here. It is not agreeing with me today. Oh, there it goes. All right, let's see if you can see this. Oh, all right, so definitely can share it this time. Tell me if you can see it. Let's try one more time. This is Cassie Bird, our Chief Learning Officer, and her bird call. All right, let me know if you could see it that time. I'm hoping that one worked a little bit better. I'm gonna wait for a response here. Oh yeah, I think you guys can definitely see it this time. Now she's gonna give us a quick rundown on how you can actually make this sound yourself. It's something that I've been practicing, but thankfully Cassie is very talented and she's here to show us how. Let's do a new share and watch this next video. And if you want to follow along with Cassie as she makes this bird call, remember all you need is your two hands and we can make a pretty interesting noise. Ready.
So this is how I make that sound. I make two semi-spheres with my hands. I make a sphere with my hands, put my thumbs together and leave a tiny gap open between the thumbs. Place my hands kind of in an upside down position so that I'm blowing across the opening on my thumbs. Kind of like playing a flute upside down. I also have to stick out my bottom lip so the air comes out that way.
All right, so thankfully Cassie has done some years of practicing on how to make what she calls an owl call. But the process is simple, right? If you just cup your hands together in a sphere shape, leave a small opening between your thumb, which acts almost like a whistle if you are able to use a whistle or blow your mouth like a whistle. And then you just blow the air across that opening to create the vibrations that we're looking for. I'm going to give it a try with the disclaimer that I've not practiced for very long, but I am still working on how to play this like any other instrument. It takes a little bit of practice. Here we go. Not quite. I'm going to keep practicing. Hopefully you will keep practicing at home. Remember that these recordings stay on our Facebook and our YouTube channel long after they've gone live so that you can go back and watch them, do a little practice. Let us know if you get it. Send us a video of you trying out that sound as well. Now, of course, we are getting to the end of our time together here today, but of course, we don't want to leave without a couple really exciting announcements. Now, if you enjoyed our game of Soundscape Bingo, we said that this is just a game that we've adapted from the content that you would get to experience if you were able to come see our 4D theater show called Global Soundscapes. Now, unfortunately, our theaters are closed right now, but we are going to present this program to you virtually through Zoom. It is free to the public for anyone who might like to join. We are going to post a registration link in the chat for anyone who might like to join us for a free presentation of Global Soundscapes happening in Zoom on Wednesday, August 12th from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. We are posting that link in the comments. It will also go up with the description to this video. Of course, we'd love if you were to register, see the entire program with us. It is a very cool, interesting show. We're going to take stops at places all over the world where scientists are recording global soundscapes and using them to determine and make observations about the health of our Earth and its ecosystems. Now, of course, thank you to our sponsors, Ford and Denso, who are allowing us to continue bringing free Echo Live programming to you all at home every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. We are very excited to keep providing these programs all throughout the rest of the year. So keep tuning in. Let us know if you have ideas for things you might like for us to talk about here on Echo Live, because we've got tons of time to talk about things that interest you most. Now, of course, we hope we'll see you back here on Thursday for another very exciting Echo Live program with Paulette, who is going to give us an update on the Mars Perseverance rover, scheduled to be launched later this month or early in August. With that, thank you everyone so much for joining us. We will be back here on